We're here with Alex from Assassin's Creed Unity to discuss the new game. Alex, thanks very much for joining us today. Obviously you can't see this on screen because you put the cane to one side, but we've had a little bit of fun already while in Gamescom.
Yeah, I would have liked to tell the story of like me getting drunk and hurting myself, but actually I was just trying to run and I sprained my ankle, so yes, I have a cane now.
He looks good with it. He looks distinguished, you know what I mean? But we're here to talk about Unity. From the off, just based on your presentation that we just saw, it's interesting you said you wanted to make Unity almost Assassin's Creed and 2 combined. Why that philosophy? Why not try something new?
Well, Assassin's Creed 1 redefined the action-adventure genre for that past generation of consoles, right? So we really wanted to do that, but it was an incomplete game in many ways, something that AC2 wasn't. AC2 was really building on that AC1 innovation and creating something that was truly a phenomenal game. So what I meant is that we don't want to reproduce those two games. What we want to do is create the same effect those two games did, combined, right? So we really want to set the standard for action-adventure genres for this future, for this new generation of consoles.
And you also mentioned about the various gameplay tweaks, things you've strengthened, you've lengthened and such like that. And it sounds like obviously you're having to combat perhaps what was created last gen. Was there any thought about trying to just wipe the slate clean and start over?
Well, we had to do that because of the co-op integration. This is the first time we actually have a multiplayer experience that's combined with the core of the game. So this forced us to really redo a lot of the code, so might as well redo it in a different way, reinvent it, right? So the 3 core pillars of the game, stealth, navigation, and combat, were really redone from the ground up.
Now, also with that co-op mode, what we're seeing here for the first time today is the heist mode that you guys have sort of only talked about before. Can you give us elaborate a little bit on what this is and what we're seeing?
Yeah, the heist is our second co-op type mission. It's really what the name implies, right? It's a heist. We give you a certain area, sort of a playground. It's a fortified area. You need to sneak in with your friends. You can play this from 1 to 4 players. So you need to sneak in, steal the treasure, and exit without being detected. Every time you get detected, you lose a little bit of the loot. Now, the other thing about the heist missions is that they are sort of systemic. What I mean by that is that every time you play them, there's a different number of guards. The paths are different. Some paths that are open sometimes are closed. So it really creates a lot of variety and it encourages replaying.
Well, how have you guys implemented designing the city? I mean, you're saying Paris a 1-to-1 scale, but with the catacombs and stuff we've seen in that heist mission, how do you guys go about designing those levels with the intention of, okay, we have to make this fun for 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 player?
Well, so what we do is, because of the open-ended structure of the game and the missions, there's always many different paths, right? So we don't rely on very linear level design. And when you rely on linear level design, this is when you're really stuck with balancing everything for 1, 2, 3 players. What we do is, because these are multiple approaches, different paths, by changing the parameters, like paths are open or closed, the number of guards, the patrols, all of that stuff, this is how we sort of balance these missions. Plus, we have missions that are tweaked for 1 player, 2 player, and 4 players. So, which doesn't mean that you can't try a mission that's tweaked for 4 players when you're just 2 players. It's going to be more challenging, but that's also the point.
And with when we started the heist mode, we got a little glimpse of the huge amount of customization that basically you can stylize your assassin, but that's not just outfit, and that's not looking good, but that also impacts particular gameplay parameters. Again, could you sort of elaborate on that and why you guys have decided to take that tack with it?
Unity is about crafting your own path through Paris. It's really about your own experience, and this is reflected in many different things, including all of the gear elements. But the way you do missions, the way you choose, like which missions you actually choose to do in Paris, and then how you do missions is really impacted by your skills and your gear. This is where all that stuff comes in. So you get skill points, you get different skills which reinforce the way you want to play, and then all of the gear elements, they all have a real bearing on gameplay. So since AC2 we had visual changes, aesthetic, swords and gear, but now they actually have an impact. Your hood might, for example, make you blind faster into a crowd, and your weapons have different stats, like they'll hit faster or make more or less damage. And all of this, again, is not necessarily, one is not better than another one necessarily, but it's just, it reinforces your own play style.
Okay, and can you alter and change up your play style and your outfits basically on the fly?
You can, but when you start a mission, you have different sort of loadouts. So you have 4 archetypes, and all of these 4 archetypes are based on the 3 core pillars, so navigation, stealth, and combat, and then we have a 4th one, it's more support, like healing. So, all the missions are sort of, the entire game actually is set up to, call for complementarity. So the idea is that when you're playing co-op, 1 + 1 = 3, not 2, because you're complementary, you actually reinforce each other's playstyles.
I thought it was interesting as well, you said about how Assassin's Creed obviously has been around for so long and the audience has matured, and you guys have to, certainly in terms of the story, have to mature that along with them. I mean, where's that sort of philosophy coming from? Is that just from feedback you've had from fans, or is that something you guys have decided as of, right, we're drawing the line, this is the new gen stuff?
It's a little bit of both. We've always drove this series on our gut feeling, where we think, because we're really passionate about Assassin's Creed, right? So we sort of have a feeling where it should go, but we always make sure to check with the fans to see if they're in line with us. And for this particular matter, like they are, and people are asking for, fans are asking for more mature stories, a little bit more serious. I think our fan base is an extremely smart fan base. They're very savvy, and I think it's the type of story that they would want told in the Assassin's Creed universe.
But also on the flip side of that as well, you said this is a great entry point for new players, newcomers. So how do you go about balancing between those two audiences?
Well, it's all about layers, right? If the first layer is simple and digestible by a mainstream audience, then you're fine. But as long as there's depth to it and there's layers, I think people can just dig and they can get as much absorbed as they want into the complexity of the story. And this is really how we designed it, right, in layers, like a Russian doll.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then sort of wrapping up then, certainly just let's touch upon the various mechanics that you say have been improved, like the black box, like basically working through assassination the way you want to play. I mean, that's something that people have tampered with previous Assassin's Creed games, but you guys seem to be enforcing the idea that there's multiple ways of getting through here. Again, is that maybe, again, feedback thing that maybe people prior hadn't really dabbled with that?
It's something that we initially wanted to do. If you look back to AC1, like the assassinations were sort of structured like that. The problem is that the game lacked the enough of the mechanics to make it diverse enough, right? So it became repetitive. But if you look at a game like AC2, there was a lot of variety, but it was a little bit more linear. For this next generation, what we strongly believe is that we can have both of those things. We can have a game that is more open, but because we have all of those legacy elements that we've learned through multiple iterations, like we know how to make this game varied. And because we also knew how to make it more open, although it was very challenging, we couldn't do it before. Now we just decided to bet everything on it, right, and to really try to work very hard for the past 4 years to actually, get a mission structure that actually works like this.
Listen, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us. Best of luck with the leg.
Thank you.